Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 245. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and dynamic show in store for you. Today's show topic is coming to the table with leverage. 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. Coming to the table with leverage. 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. Now, before we start today's episode, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome any new listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. I want to welcome you to the BEB family, and please stay tuned until the end of today's podcast, and I'm going to give you all my social media handles, and please connect with me on all of them. We're going to be doing a lot of good things on YouTube and also other platforms, so please stay to the end and connect via social media. Also, if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, I've created a new book titled A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So you can go to anewblackwallstreet.com, pick yourself up a copy. It's $14.95 plus shipping and handling. Now, if you need additional assistance, I've created a compatible online course which is in the process of being revamped right now, titled Educated E-Commerce. Educated E-Commerce. You can go to educatedecommerce.com and enroll in the course. And this course takes you from point A to point Z. The course price is actually getting ready to rise. So if you're interested, go there now and check it out. And I'm adding a whole bunch of new modules and I'm revamping the whole course. And so it's going to be even better than it is right now. Also, any Black product producers, manufacturers, or Black product sellers, please check out my platform, Be Smart by Black, besmartbyblack.com. Please upload your products on the platform and you can connect with Black consumers worldwide that want to buy your products. This is what we're talking about in terms of circulating the dollar in our community, circulating the Black dollar, putting money back into our community as opposed to spending it in other communities. Now, any freelancers out there, I've created another platform for freelancers. So if you do anything on Fiverr or freelancer.com, be it web design, coding, voiceovers, animation, whatever you can find on Fiverr or Freelancer, you're going to be able to find on hireblackfreelancers.com, HIRE, blackfreelancers.com. So please upload your information. It's free. Okay. And this way you can connect with Black consumers and Black businesses worldwide that are looking to hire Black freelancers. I couldn't find a videographer or a Black videographer in Philly for an event a while back, and it didn't make any sense to me because we need platforms so we can actually circulate those dollars in our community. Anytime I do a book talk or anything, I'm looking for people to help me that are Black, be it videographers, photographers, event locations, or whatever, trying to spend the money and make a conscious effort to spend our money with our own people. And we definitely need to do that, circulating the Black dollar worldwide. That's what we have to continue to do. So check out hireblackfreelancers.com and besmartbyblack.com. They're both free to upload your information. Today's episode, family, coming to the table with leverage, 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. Coming to the table with leverage, 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. Many times as entrepreneurs, guys, we try to skip steps and get our business or our projects to a higher level when we're truly not in the position to make those enormous strides. So today we're going to talk about 5 tips to be able to get you to where you need to be and maximize your leverage. So when I was actually talking to a BEB family member not long ago, a young lady wanted to sell a TV idea to a major network or studio. And so I was explaining to her the process, which is very convoluted and it takes a long period of time. So if you don't have any intellectual property, like a book that you're trying to turn into a TV show or a series or whatever, or if you have a script, or even if it's a live action type of show, reality TV, you need to have some type of intellectual property. Because if you go to a studio and say, hey, I have this idea, anybody can say that that was their idea. So you need to have some type of IP to back that. And so I used the example for her of Issa Rae. So if you don't know who Issa Rae is, she actually has a show on HBO called Insecure. And that show actually started out as a YouTube series. And so what she did was she parlayed that into an HBO deal. And now her show is on HBO and she's got a production deal and she's making all types of strides in that industry. And so a lot of times you can't just go from, hey, I'm sitting in my office and I got a great idea. I want to get my show onto a major network, or I want to turn my idea into a book into a movie, because it doesn't work like that. You haven't built up any leverage. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's almost like trying to get a business loan and you don't have a track record of sales or revenues. So I get people all the time coming to me, hey, Jay, I need a loan for my business. Well, have you started your business? No. That means you don't have any revenues. You don't have any history. So a lot of times we put the cart before the horse instead of laying the foundation to increase our leverage. And that's what we're really going to talk about today. It's almost like trying to buy a skyscraper if you're an investor, as opposed to starting out buying a small commercial building. You have to take the steps. And tip number 1 is research your subject. So whatever you're trying to do or whatever you're trying to accomplish, you want to research that. Okay. So for example, for the young lady that wanted to start or had a TV idea for a major network, you're going to have to research the actual process of how that works. All right. You want to get information about the other side's true needs, wants, and fears. What do they want? What you want is a lot different than what they need. Okay. And so you have to really research your subject. This is going to give you leverage. If you go into a negotiation or a talk and you don't know about the other side, then you're not going to be too successful in terms of accomplishing what you're trying to accomplish. So you need to do your research on the subject. And after I go through these tips, I'm going to give you guys some real life examples also. So that's number 1. And today we're talking about coming to the table with leverage, 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. So tip number 1, research your subject. So whoever you're trying to leverage, you need to research that entity or that person. You have to get the information about the other side's needs, wants, and fears. Okay. Tip number 2, recognize what you have. Don't sell yourself short. Now, if you don't have anything, you need to recognize that too. But recognize what you have. So, for example, years ago, when I was in the alarm business, there was a guy that had this big dealership. He was a multi-millionaire. He had sold one alarm company for like $30 million years ago, and he had gotten back into the industry. And so our offices weren't that far from each other, and I was making a little bit of noise in the business, but he actually came to meet with me. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to absorb my company into his company. And the way the alarm industry works, when you sell an alarm account, so, you know, if you get ADT and it's $30 a month, what happens is ADT buys those contracts. So it could be a 36-month contract that you guarantee to pay $30 a month for your alarm service or whatever it is. So what happens is these financing companies like ADT will pay you a multiple of whatever your monthly payment is. So I sell that contract for $30 a month, and it's a 36-month contract. So what ADT would do, they'd say, hey, Jay, we're going to buy that contract from you, and we're going to pay you 30 months up front, and you get one lump sum payment, and we're going to hold the contract. Now, because my dealership was smaller than this other guy's dealership, I was only making 32 times, and he was making like 40 times. Okay, meaning whatever I made 32 times the monthly payment on my contracts, he made 40 times the monthly payment. So what he said was, you know what, I'll pay you 36 times, which is more than you're getting directly from the dealership, if I can absorb you. So basically, he wanted me and my company to really work for him. And so I had to recognize what I had. And what I had was my own entity. I had my own office, my own sales force. And so I recognized that even though, yes, I would make more money in the long game, that's not what I wanted to do. And it wasn't a right or good strategic move, because eventually I did end up selling the business several years later. So today we're talking about coming to the table with leverage, 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. So I already had everything I needed to do business. Now, no, I wasn't making as much money per deal as he was, but I was self-sufficient, and I wasn't willing to give up my independence, for a few extra dollars per account. So tip number 2, recognize what you have. And what you have may be a lot or it may be a little, but you need to understand and recognize whatever it is you have. Okay. Tip number 3. And this is real big, family. It's build assets first. Build assets first before you try to negotiate anything. If you're coming to the table with nothing, then you have absolutely no leverage. It's like going into a war with a water gun, and you fighting people with M16 tanks and cannons, and you got a water gun you pulling out your pocket. You're going to lose. And the reason you're going to lose is because you didn't take the time to build up assets. You didn't take the time to build up your weaponry. All right. You coming with a water gun that you got for 15 cents from whatever Kmart, and they got high-tech weapons. So you never go into a negotiation with no assets. So number 3 is key. You have to build your assets. And just once again, just like the woman that wanted to sell the TV idea, the young lady, she had nothing to back it up. So networks aren't even going to listen to you. And that industry is even harder because most times you have to have a name to back it up. Okay. So when I was out in Mississippi, there was another young lady that was an author. She wrote poems, and she was asking me, how do I get a publisher? And I said, well, do you have anything published as of yet? She's like, no, not out, out there in the market. I have poems written and all of that. I said, well, do you have a database? And she was like, no. I said, okay. So I would recommend that you don't even try to talk to a publisher, because the publishing game nowadays is changed big time. Years ago, if you got a publishing deal, these publishers would put a whole bunch of money and resources behind you. They put you on book tours. They try to get you on TV shows and all of that. But the industry and the game has changed. Now, when you go to a publisher, you need to have either a big name or you need to have assets behind you. And assets behind you could be in the form of a database of 100,000 people that have purchased or like your poems that are in your database. So now when you go to the publisher and say, look, I got X amount of followers on social media, I got 100,000 people on my database and my email list. Now they're going to look at you a little different because you've built assets first. You're not coming in with a water gun. You're not coming in with empty pockets. You have something to bring to the table. So you have to make sure that you have assets first. So you want to build your assets. And today, guys, we're talking about coming to the table with leverage. 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. So that book deal or that publishing deal, that the young lady was looking for is probably not going to happen because she doesn't have the assets to make the publisher think that this is going to be beneficial. So you got to build assets, and assets based on your industry or your business could be different things. Okay. Yeah. The game has changed with publishing. You have to damn near publish yourself, even if you are, unless you're a well-renowned person, business person, author, speaker, whatever, movie star. Most people don't get major publishing deals with books. And just a side note, even if you do get a deal, the monies that you get up front are offset by your royalties. So they could give you $25,000, right? But if you don't sell $25,000 worth of royalties, then you're not going to make any additional money. So anybody that's looking to publish that doesn't have a large database, you probably want to self-publish. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with self-publishing. Matter of fact, Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, was actually self-published at first. And he got so much traction, which he built assets, that it got picked up by a publishing company. So tip number 3, build assets first. All right. Tip number 4, be able to walk away. The strongest position you have, the best negotiating tool you have, is to be able to walk away from a negotiation and not care because you already have assets. Tip number 4, be able to walk away. So when that guy approached me to buy my alarm business, I'll listen to you. But, I walked away and I didn't think twice about it because I had already built assets. So most times we're invulnerable when we don't have anything. And once again, that's the worst time to come to the table to try to negotiate, business or personal. When you don't have anything, then you don't have any leverage. So be able to walk away. So it's about expectations. And I'll use this as an example. When my wife and I watch Shark Tank, sometimes some of these people get these great deals, or they perceive that they're great deals. These sharks will give them these deals. But there's a lot of times that the people understand that their value, their company, their idea, their concept is valued much higher than what the sharks value it at. And so they walk away. And then when they walk away, the sharks are like, oh, you're dead to me. You'll be calling me back. You wish you would have took this deal. But they have enough confidence and assets in their business where they're like, you know what? I don't care. I can walk away. And I always told my wife, if I ever got on that show, I'm going to have the expectation of this is the deal that I'm going to take, and I'm not taking anything less. And that would be predicated on me already having assets and doing business. And it's not going to make or break me if I make the deal. Expectations will make or break any relationship. So when you come in with realistic expectations, this is what my business is worth, and I'm willing to walk away if I don't get it, then you're in a position of power. That's when you have leverage. So that's number 4, be able to walk away. And last but not least, tip number 5, be patient. Be patient. Because what happens is a lot of times we don't put ourselves in a position where we need to make a deal to get or stay in the business. You don't want to put yourself in that position. So sometimes we start businesses and we're struggling and we don't know if we're going to be able to stay in business. We may need an influx of capital. We may need a partner and all of that, but you need to be patient. Wait for the right time. Once again, when you rush things, you're not in a position of strength. You're in a position of weakness. And the reason is you haven't built up your assets. If you build up assets, it doesn't matter. If the deal makes sense, cool. If it doesn't, you don't do it. So you have to be patient. Another big issue is a lot of times when we're looking to negotiate for our business, we always feel that the only way that we can get to the next level is if somebody validates us or, somebody partners with us. A lot of times you don't really realize or recognize what you have. And the example I like to use is Kevin Hart. Now, you guys are all familiar with the Monique and Netflix thing. And also Monique was talking to Steve Harvey. But that all started when Monique got an offer to do a stand-up special at Netflix. And it was only at a fraction of the price that Netflix was willing to pay Amy Schumer. And Monique was like, hey, I'm not going to do it. Why are you paying her this and you're only paying me that? And my thought process went directly to Kevin Hart. So when Kevin Hart went on his last tour, that was something that he created by himself. He bet on himself. He paid for the venues. He paid for the travel. He didn't have a sponsor. Okay? So he has leverage now. You know why? Because he built up these assets and he didn't have to wait for Netflix to give him a special. He didn't have to wait to get a sponsorship for his tour. He's not beholden to anybody. I think it was like a 35 city tour or whatever that he created, developed, and did everything from A to Z. That's called having leverage. He has assets. Nobody can come to him and demand anything, because what he's done is he's taken an understanding of what he's worth. And he's not going to these networks and saying, hey, look, can I get on a special? No, because now you have assets and you have leverage. These networks are coming to him. And like he says, I have partners. So if Netflix or somebody comes to me, it's a partnership. His social media following is crazy. His database is crazy. The Laugh Out Loud digital platform where he has other comedians on it, it's crazy. He's built his assets, which give him leverage. If he was never on television another day in his life, he still could go around and do tours because he's built the assets, guys. And that's really the key to leverage, is building your assets. So you can go and try to partner when it's an uneven or unequally yoked relationship and you're going to somebody or some organization, you need money. Okay. Do you have any assets? Do you have any revenues? Have you proven yourself in business? And if you haven't, you're not going to be able to get what you want. And it's all about coming to the table with leverage. And today's show is 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. So before you start asking for business loans, and you haven't even done any commerce yet, that's not going to happen. You may be able to get a loan on your personal standing, but your business standing, you need to be in business and build assets in your business for leverage. So when Kevin Hart talks to these movie studios, they know that he has leverage. He could go to Warner Brothers. He could go to Universal. He could go to whoever. He has a great fan base. He has a database. So now he has leverage to determine who he's going to partner with if he's putting out a new movie. And that's what we have to do, guys. You got to focus on building assets in your business. And once you do that, you will have the leverage. You'll have that power. And that's something that we tend to forget. So we're coming in here and basically we're asking somebody for something and we're not bringing nothing to the table. That's not how you negotiate. That's not how you move your business, from level A to level B to level C. The work, you got to put the work in. Now, yes, there may be some instances where you come up with a concept and an idea and a company will buy into it, but if you don't have that leverage, you're going to get screwed. Now I'm watching the Don Cornelius thing on BET, American Soul, about Soul Train. And so Don Cornelius created this thing. And now other people, Dick Clark, tried to create a show that was going to rival Soul Train. And because Don Cornelius had leverage, he shut that thing down. Okay? He had assets. And that asset was the backing of the black community, the backing of the sponsors. And so when Dick Clark tried to come out with a copycat, they were like, nah, we're not going to support that. So it's all about building assets to increase your leverage. So I'm just going to rehash real quick, guys. Today's show, coming to the table with leverage, 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. This is all about negotiation. Tip number 1, research your subject. Okay, so if you're at the table with a company You need to research them. You need to get information about the other side's needs, wants, and fears. What do they want? What do they need? Can you provide what they need? Can you give them what they want? Do you quell their fears? So tip 1, research your subject. Tip number 2, recognize what you have. Be it something or nothing. If you don't have anything, recognize that. But if you do have something, value what you do have. Tip number 3, which is probably the biggest tip, is build assets first. You can't go to the table with nothing, with lint in your pockets and an idea. You have to have assets. Why would somebody want to do business with you or negotiate with you if you have absolutely nothing? If you don't have any assets, you have no leverage. Zero. Okay? Build up, even if it's intellectual property, like the example I gave you about the TV show. If it's intellectual property, something that you've built up. So if you wrote a book, it's easier for a book to get made into a movie or a script to get made into a movie. They're going to change it up anyway in Hollywood. But now if you have that intellectual property, Game of Thrones was a book. A lot of these, I think The Hobbit was a book. That's intellectual property. That's assets. Okay? So recognize what you have. Number 3, once I said build assets first, then you come into the table. Number 4, be able to walk away from a negotiation. That's the best or that's the most leverage you ever have. It's being able to walk away from a negotiation and not care because you've already built something. It was like me in the alarm business. The guy wanted to consume me. He wanted my organization to come and basically work through his organization. I didn't need to do that because I had already built my team. I had already generated revenues. I knew what I was doing. So being able to walk away was easy for me because the only thing he was offering me basically was a little money, extra money per deal. I'm not looking for the short term. I'm looking for the long term. I need to own everything I got before I sell out. And that's what I did. I sold the company. So if I would have been under him, I wouldn't even have been able to sell the company. So be able to walk away from negotiations. And tip number 5, be patient. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Okay? If you're not ready, you're not ready. So get ready. Okay? So don't put yourself in a position where you need to make a deal to get or stay in business. Because if you do that, you're going to get screwed. Come from a position of power. And that power comes from your assets. Recognizing what you're worth. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to come out on top in negotiations. All right, so that's today's show, guys. Coming to the table with leverage. 5 tips to increase your leverage and get what you want for your business. Be patient. Build your assets, and now people will come to you. It's just like the podcast. It took me almost, I think it'll be 5 years in August that the podcast is out there. So when I have people now coming to me to advertise on the podcast, I have leverage. I've built an asset. When I have General Motors, I got FreshBooks, I got all these other companies coming to me. I mean, if you guys could see my emails, yo, we want to advertise on the show. Nah, I'm staying independent so I can say and do whatever I want. But I've built assets, okay, in the show. And so that's what it's all about, family. Now, all you new first-time listeners, please stay tuned because I'm about to give out all my social media handles. But before we do close out, guys, I want to thank all the BEB family members that's come out to the my book talks. I got more coming up. I'll be in Charlotte in the next couple of weeks. I'll keep you guys abreast of that. And I got more coming behind that, just finalizing a few other things. So please continue to spread the word about Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the podcast, and also the blog. Each and every episode, guys, we get more and more downloads, and I attribute that to the BEB family. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and please continue to spread the word. Now, if you need to connect with me anything long, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. That's JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, please go to Facebook. Just type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and you can follow me on Facebook. Twitter, JJones001, JAYJONES001. Instagram, JJonesForReal, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. J Jones for Real. YouTube, please go to YouTube and subscribe, guys. I got a couple of hot things that are about to come out in the next 2 weeks. So go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and hit the subscribe button. Different content comes out on YouTube in addition to the show, but there's different content that's coming out on YouTube. If you need to be included in the BEB text line for notifications and reminders about special events, please text BEB, like Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, to 555-888, BEB to 555-888. And also on LinkedIn, just go to LinkedIn, type in J Jones Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. I'll pop up. Invite me to follow you, and I'd love to be a part of your social network, guys. So, I'll see you the same time next week. Love y'all. Peace.